Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. The nature of our mind is that it always tends to dwell in negative emotions and negative thoughts such as anger, desire or lust, jealousy, and resentment. These are the types of negative thoughts our mind gravitates toward. So, how can we control this? A great teacher, the Supreme Buddha, introduced us to a gradual training process that allows us to practice controlling negative emotions and thoughts in our mind. Without further ado, let me introduce this method to you. First and foremost, before we even begin with the steps, there is one thing you must practice and master: awareness. If you are not aware of what you are thinking, if you are not mindful of your thoughts, then you cannot control them. You must fully understand and be aware of what is happening in your mind. Once you become aware of what you are thinking, you gain the power to control it. Now, let's go into the first step. The Buddha says, whenever you become aware that your mind is dwelling on negative thoughts like anger, lust, resentment, or jealousy, the first thing to do is shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are always some wholesome thoughts in your mind, thoughts that make you peaceful. For example, think about a time you helped someone. Remembering that moment can bring happiness and peace to your mind. So, whenever you notice negative thoughts, shift your attention to something wholesome, something that brings inner peace. That is the first instruction from the Buddha. Redirect your thoughts toward wholesome, positive thinking. If that first step does not work, then proceed to the next one. What is it? The Buddha advises you to think about the disadvantages of negative emotions. If you're frequently having angry thoughts, reflect on how those thoughts are harming you and others. If you act based on those thoughts, they can cause real damage to yourself and those around you. Even a small seed of anger, if nurtured, can grow into something destructive. Therefore, you must consider the drawbacks of entertaining such negative thoughts. Once you clearly see their disadvantages, your mind will be more inclined to reject them. Most of the time, we are simply unaware of the harm these thoughts can cause. So what do you have to do? Think. If I keep on entertaining these negative thoughts, it's not going to help me. It will only disrupt my peace of mind. That is the second step. Then, as the third step, the Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work, move on to the third. Do not give any attention to the negative thought. You see, whenever we give too much attention to a thought, it grows stronger. For example, if you become angry with someone and keep thinking about them repeatedly, your anger will continue to grow. So what should you do? Let the thought simply be a thought, without giving it much attention. When you refrain from focusing on it, the thought will naturally fade away from your mind. It's like this. Have you seen little babies cry when they fall down? If the parent sees it's not serious and doesn't give it much attention, what happens? The baby stops crying. Likewise, if we stop feeding attention to a negative thought, if we don't care about it and just let it pass, it will fade away. That is one effective way of dealing with it. Now, if the third step still does not work for you, the Buddha recommends the fourth step. Relax your thought process. When you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes busy, rough, and distracted, so you need to reflect. Why am I thinking these disturbing thoughts? These negative thoughts are only making me agitated and distracted. What you should do instead is calm and relax your thought process by shifting to gentle, uplifting thoughts. Thoughts like loving kindness, compassion, or gratitude. When you focus on such positive thoughts, your mind naturally becomes calm and relaxed. If the fourth step still doesn't work, then comes the final step. This must be practiced with great care. I do not recommend this to everyone. It should only be done by someone with proper experience and strong mental discipline. This fifth and final step is to crush the thought with awareness. You must be completely aware of your thought patterns and firmly determine, I will not entertain these negative thoughts. However, be cautious. This method isn't suitable for everyone. For some, the more they force the mind, the more resistant and reactive it becomes, which can actually increase negative thoughts. So, only resort to this final step if the first four did not work. It is highly advisable to practice and become proficient with the first four steps before even attempting the fifth. Practice these techniques regularly. Over time, you will begin to feel and notice that your negative emotions start fading. Little by little. Remember, this transformation will not happen overnight. It takes consistent effort, patience, and time. Keep practicing, make it a habit, and eventually, you will gain mastery over your mind. You will turn your mind into a space that is free from negative thoughts. Take care and see you in the next video.